Okay, so when you think about bourbon whiskey, Canadian whiskey, Scotch, things like that, there is a lot of differences. In some of it's just because of where they're made. And I wanted to bring this up. Jim Beam is considered a a bourbon because it's made in the bourbon region, right? Jack Daniels is not considered a bourbon. It's considered a whiskey because it's not made in the same area, in the location, geographical location, as bourbons are supposed to be made. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. But the thing is this: they compete against each other strongly. But a true bourbon drinker will drink Jim Beam over Jack Daniels because it's considered a bourbon where Jack Daniels is not considered a bourbon. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. It's like they're sort of made similar. They sort of have similar taste, even though people that like Jack they're gonna say strongly, Jim Beam's not even close to being as good as Jack Daniels. And there's different forms of Jack. There's different forms of Jim Beam. But the reality of they both have square bottles, right? You look at the comparisons of the bottles as themselves. They both kind of have the same colors, the same textures. Flavors might be a little bit off because of the recipes. But they're basically bourbons, both of them. But you can't call Jack Daniels a bourbon, you know? That's the thing about bartending that sort of makes sense, but doesn't make sense. It's kind of funny. It's got a little bit of humor because you're sitting there going, it's kind of made like a bourbon would be made in the process. And someday I'll go to their factories and I'll see their how they're making it. There's probably some slight differences and stuff like that. But if Jack Daniels was made in bourbon country area, right, not in Tennessee, then it would be considered a bourbon because it's so close to the way they make it in the bourbon counties that they would have to associate it as that. It's kind of like, let me put this in real quick here. Champagne, right, is made in a province of France, right? France. So if it's not made in that province, it's not considered champagne. That's why when you get a California champagne, it's called sparkling wine. It's not called champagne. They can't do it. There's a little bit of, there should be a law book on bars and alcohol and stuff, because there's these little tricks of the trade that people don't understand. Like, why is this something I bought here? It tastes just as good as, champagne from, I bought from France or Italy or whatever. I forget. Is it France or Italy? I'm drawing a blank. I might have to redo